Welcome to Wisdom of Experience. Have you ever felt like your immense love and sacrifices for your children, straight from the heart, sometimes feels like a weight to them, or even to you? How many seasons have passed? How many lines have etched themselves around your eyes? Has time, the swift current that sweeps away youth and strength, also unexpectedly complicated the very bonds it was meant to deepen? It's a challenging truth. Sometimes, our well-meaning actions as parents, if they cross a certain boundary, can unintentionally become a burden, a tie that binds both generations too tightly. The safest place in old age, sometimes, is found in learning to release and to love wisely. For many of us who have navigated most of life's path, an immeasurable love for our children resides in our hearts. Sacrifice, worry, nurturing, these often feel like the essence of our lives, our greatest happiness. In this video on Wisdom of Experience, I want to share 10 crucial things that, in our golden years, we should consider not giving entirely to our adult children. This isn't about selfishness. It's about essential safety, a profound philosophy to protect our own peace and the happiness of our beloved children. You'll learn how to find balance and serenity, discover why releasing certain expectations is key to your peace, and understand how wise love benefits everyone. Many of us worry about being a burden, fear loneliness, or struggle with changing family dynamics as children grow up. We want connection but also dignity and peace. This video will help you understand the importance of healthy boundaries in love, how to cultivate your own peace regardless of external factors, and why true security in old age comes from within. I share this with you with all the understanding and experience of someone who has been both a child and a parent. But first, let's gently explore these points together. Part 1. Don't interfere too much in children's private lives. Boundaries of love. Psychologically, every adult, regardless of age, requires personal space and autonomy for healthy development and well-being. Respecting a grown child's privacy reinforces their independence and competence. Over-involvement can stem from protective instincts, but in adulthood, it can signal a lack of trust. Research indicates that adult children whose parents respect their privacy tend to have healthier relationships with them. We're starting our journey towards a peaceful old age by understanding the first crucial boundary, the line between loving concern and intrusive interference in our children's private lives. This is about establishing boundaries of love, seeing them not as barriers, but as frames supporting healthy growth. Consider Eleanor, a retired teacher in her late 60s, deeply concerned about her 30-year-old son, Mark. Mark had a good job and his own apartment, but Eleanor still felt compelled to check in constantly. She'd call daily, asking detailed questions about his work projects, who he was dating, and his weekend plans. When he visited, she'd tidy his apartment, sometimes glancing at mail or open laptops, telling herself she was just being helpful. Mark initially appreciated her attention, but soon felt suffocated. He started responding to texts more slowly and making excuses to end calls. The tension peaked when Eleanor, visiting unexpectedly, commented on his dating life based on something she saw on his phone. Mark finally said, his voice strained, "Mom, I love that you care, but I need my own space. I'm not a kid anymore. Please trust me to live my life." Eleanor felt a pang of hurt, not understanding why her concern was met with such frustration. Every parent believes their child is wonderful, showering them with praise and care. This love is unconditional, but excessive worry and the desire to shelter them can inadvertently intrude on their private space. Checking their rooms or trying to be in on every detail, while from a place of love, can feel stifling. Parental love is a great comfort, but it needs boundaries. Like a garden needs a fence for protection and space to grow, our children need private space to develop their identity and make their own decisions. Over-involvement subtly says we don't trust them, hindering their independence and growth. Children are like birds. They need their own sky. Excessive interference can be a cage. Many of us, like Eleanor, struggle with letting go and trusting our adult children to navigate their lives. It's a common challenge rooted in deep love. Part 2. Don't exhaust yourself raising children with the expectation of repayment. Sow kindness, reap peace. While familial support is a universal value, the expectation of explicit repayment from adult children is less common in many Western cultures compared to traditional, collectivist societies. Placing this expectation can strain relationships as adult children navigate independent lives, careers, and their own families, which may limit their capacity for constant care or financial support of parents. Moving from boundaries of love, let's examine another deep-seated tendency: the expectation of repayment for our lifelong sacrifices. This section is about sowing kindness and reaping peace, focusing on giving with a full heart but without keeping a tally of what's owed. The story of the mother snake sacrificing herself is a powerful image of maternal devotion. Every parent wants the best for their children, pouring their heart into raising them, hoping they will be successful and caring in old age. But life is unpredictable. Expecting too much repayment can lead to disappointment and hurt when reality differs. Consider the story of Martha. She worked tirelessly, sacrificing her own needs and retirement savings to put her 3 children through college and help them buy their first homes. She always envisioned them being there for her in her old age, maybe living nearby or helping with daily tasks. As she got older, her children were busy with demanding careers and their own young families, living in different states. While they called and visited when they could, it wasn't the constant support she had expected. She felt a deep sadness and resentment, thinking about all she had given and how little she seemed to be getting back. She felt her sacrifices weren't truly appreciated or reciprocated in the way she had imagined. Our love for our children is a priceless gift, requiring no repayment. We give from the heart without expecting a return. Expecting children to repay us in old age creates invisible pressure, straining the relationship. Think of raising children like planting a seed. We nurture it to grow healthy, not demanding fruit, but because it's joy and love. When children have their own lives, their care, if it comes, is a precious gift, a voluntary comfort, not a duty. Martha's story is a wake-up call. While our love and sacrifice are boundless, we shouldn't place all hope on children's repayment in old age. Instead, build your own self-sufficient life, financially and emotionally. Find joy in personal activities, friends, and hobbies. Children's care is valuable, but your peace must be built by you. Sow kindness wholeheartedly and reap peace from self-reliance and inner calm. This is a difficult truth, especially if we've been raised with the idea that children will be our primary support in old age. Letting go of rigid expectations frees both us and our children. Part 3. Don't sell your land, your house to your children, and also sell your joy in old age, home and memories. Gerontology research highlights the importance of maintaining a sense of place and continuity for older adults' psychological well-being. Displacement from a long-term home, especially one with strong emotional ties, can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and a loss of independence. A home is often more than just a building. It's a repository of identity, memories, and community connections. Our third point is about the physical anchor of our lives, our home. Selling it to help children can feel like the ultimate sacrifice, but we need to consider if we're also selling our peace and joy. This is about protecting our home and memories. A home is more than just shelter. It holds a lifetime of memories and identity. The story of George and Carol, who sold their comfortable suburban house to move in with their daughter's family in a smaller city apartment to help her financially, illustrates a sad reality. Their material sacrifice led to a loss of spiritual well-being and the joy of old age. Their house was tied to decades of life, raising children, holidays, neighbors. Leaving it wasn't just moving. It was a significant emotional break, a difficult loss. George and Carol were initially happy to be closer to their grandchildren, but soon they felt life become dull and stifling in the crowded apartment. They missed their garden, their quiet street, and seeing old friends. They spent lonely afternoons watching city life, their hearts heavy with nostalgia. Their daughter and son-in-law were busy, with little time to spend with them. They felt like outsiders in their own child's home. Hearing their daughter's stress about finances made them feel like a burden. Eventually, they found a small apartment back in their old town. It wasn't their house, but it was peaceful, restoring their freedom and connection to cherished memories. Wanting our children to have good lives is natural, but material help requires careful thought to avoid selling off your joy and freedom. Living with children in a different, perhaps smaller space, with a different rhythm, can make older adults feel lost, lonely, and lose their autonomy. George and Carol's story highlights the importance of a place to return to. Home isn't just property. It's where the soul anchors, preserving spiritual values. Helping children is good, but don't lose your familiar space, relationships, and freedom. Consider carefully before decisions about your home to avoid regrets. Keeping a place to return to also keeps a vital part of the joy and peace of old age. Our homes hold so much more than just things. They hold our history and sense of belonging. This point reminds us to protect that precious connection. Part 4. Don't tell stories of the past with your children and grandchildren in a comparative, imposing way. Continuing generation, separate paths. Intergenerational communication studies show that while sharing family history and experiences is valuable for cultural transmission and bonding, a judgmental or comparative tone can create defensiveness and distance. Younger generations often perceive such comparisons as dismissive of their own experiences and challenges, hindering open communication and understanding. Our journey continues by looking at how we share our life's wisdom. This point focuses on not using stories of the past to compare or impose on our children and grandchildren. It's about recognizing continuing generations and separate paths, understanding that their journey is unique. Sharing life experiences and stories of the past is a way to connect generations and pass down values. However, if telling stories becomes comparison, imposition, or dissatisfaction with how children and grandchildren live, it creates distance and discomfort. Think of Robert, a man in his 70s, who often told his grandchildren, "When I was your age, we walked miles to school, uphill both ways. You kids have it so easy, glued to your screens." Or he'd tell his daughter, Sarah, about how he and his wife managed a household on one income, implying her and her husband's financial struggles were due to poor choices. Unlike in his day, while his stories held truth about his past, the tone was always comparative, highlighting how much harder he had it or how much better his generation was. Sarah and her children began to dread these stories, feeling criticized and misunderstood. They stopped sharing their own challenges and successes as openly, creating a subtle but growing rift. We possess a wealth of experience, a lifetime of lessons learned. Sharing this is a gift, a bridge between generations. But when we preface our stories with phrases like, "You don't know how good you have it," or draw direct comparisons that minimize their efforts or choices, that bridge can weaken. Our children and grandchildren navigate a world dramatically different from ours. Their challenges, opportunities, and perspectives are shaped by their time and context. Our stories should enlighten and inspire, offering perspective, not invalidate or control. Respecting their journey, even if it looks different from ours, is an act of love and acceptance. It grants them the dignity of their own experiences and strengthens the bond based on mutual respect rather than perceived superiority or judgment. It's natural to look back on our own experiences, but the key is sharing them as wisdom and connection, not as a measuring stick against their lives. Part 5. Don't be too serious. Laughter opens the door to peace. The physiological benefits of laughter are well documented, including reducing stress hormones and boosting mood. In older adults, maintaining a sense of humor and the ability to be flexible in thinking are linked to greater resilience, better social connections, and an improved ability to cope with age-related changes. Rigidity and excessive seriousness, conversely, can exacerbate stress and isolation. Life throws curveballs, especially as we age. This point is about embracing lightness and humor, reminding ourselves laughter opens the door to peace. It's about letting go of excessive rigidity. Old age can sometimes bring physical changes and increase sensitivity. Older adults might become more prone to worry or becoming easily bothered. However, taking everything too seriously, lacking flexibility in how we see life, increases personal stress and makes it harder to adapt to changing times. The saying, "being too serious means you've already lost," reminds us of the value of relaxation and openness. Excessive seriousness builds an invisible wall between us and life's joy and lightness. When we're too critical of ourselves and others, we easily fall into stress and frustration. Consider the example of Arthur, a retired engineer known for his strict adherence to routine and rules. He approached everything with intense seriousness, from his morning coffee ritual to how the dishwasher was loaded. He'd get visibly agitated by minor deviations or unexpected changes. His adult children and grandchildren found him difficult to relax around and hesitated to be spontaneous or share lighthearted moments, fearing his disapproval. One day, his granddaughter convinced him to try a local community theater group. Reluctantly, Arthur attended, expecting a rigid structure. Instead, he found a group of people who embraced improvisation, laughter, and not taking themselves too seriously. Slowly, Arthur started to loosen up, finding joy in the unexpected and the silly. He began to laugh at himself and approach life with more flexibility, which not only improved his mood, but also made his interactions with his family warmer and more relaxed. Old age is a time to learn to overlook minor issues, enjoy simple moments, and find joy in the ordinary. Flexibility helps us adapt to life's changes, maintain good relationships, and keep our spirit young. A smile, a joke can ease tension, resolve conflicts, and bring joy. Arthur's story shows that being adaptable is powerful. Don't let excessive seriousness trap you in old frameworks. Be open, accept new things, and find joy in the simple. A relaxed mind and a smile will help you enjoy a peaceful and happy old age. It's easy to become rigid as we age, but cultivating a lighter approach opens us up to more joy and better connections with loved ones. Part 6. Don't get angry. Stillness for a peaceful mind. Chronic anger in older adults is linked to increased health risks, including heart problems and weakened immunity. It also negatively impacts cognitive function and exacerbates stress. Learning effective strategies for managing anger, such as mindfulness or relaxation techniques, is crucial for maintaining both physical health and emotional well-being in later life. Anger is a powerful, destructive force. This section explores why we should strive to don't get angry, focusing on finding stillness for a peaceful mind. It's about managing our emotional responses for our own health and our relationship's sake. Old age, with health changes and increased sensitivity, can make older adults more easily irritated or resentful over small things. However, anger brings no benefit. It only harms us and others and diminishes our dignity. A cheerful, optimistic spirit and a calm attitude are most important. Anger is like a fire that consumes the heart. It harms both mental and physical health. When we're angry, our bodies react negatively. More importantly, anger creates barriers and damages relationships. Consider the story of Helen, a widow in her 70s. She was generally kind, but since her husband passed, she'd become easily angered. A delayed phone call from a child, a minor change in plans, or a comment she misunderstood could trigger frustration. Her outbursts made family gatherings tense, and afterward, Helen felt drained and lonely. Her daughter suggested she try deep breathing exercises and journaling. Helen was skeptical at first, but she decided to try. Each day, she'd take a few minutes to breathe deeply and write down her feelings instead of reacting instantly. Slowly, she noticed a shift. The urge to react angrily lessened, and she found herself approaching situations with more calm and patience, improving her interactions with her family and her own peace of mind. Old age is a time to seek peace within. Instead of letting negative emotions control us, learn to manage anger and seek stillness. Patience and tolerance are virtues that help us overcome difficulties and maintain harmony. Helen's story shows how crucial controlling emotions, especially anger, is for a peaceful old age. Learn to recognize anger's signs and find ways to soothe it. Deep breathing, meditation, or relaxing activities. Stillness for a peaceful mind is a practice, but it brings true peace and happiness in your final years. Letting go of anger is a process, but for our health and our relationships, it's one of the most valuable things we can do in our later years. Part 7. Don't live with any child in a clingy, dependent way. Independence for freedom. In Western societies, there's a strong cultural emphasis on individual independence, which extends into old age. While familial support is valued, excessive dependence on one adult child can create significant stress on that individual and the family unit. Financial and social planning for aging often encourages maintaining as much autonomy as possible, whether through independent living, assisted living, or community support. This point challenges a traditional view and focuses on maintaining our autonomy. It's about why we don't live with any child in a clingy, dependent way, emphasizing that independence leads to freedom. While the idea of children caring for parents in old age is a comforting thought, in modern society, with children's own lives and pressures, living together and being overly dependent on one child can create a burden. The story of a mother and her son struggling with this dynamic is a poignant example of changing family relationships. Parental love and care from children is a great happiness, but excessive material and emotional dependence on one child can have unintended consequences. Children have their own lives and responsibilities. Placing the entire burden on one person can cause stress and even strain the relationship. Consider the story of Susan. After her husband passed, her son, David, insisted she move in with him and his family. While Susan loved being near them, she felt her life shrinking. She relied on David or his wife for rides, company, and handling her affairs. She lost touch with her own friends and hobbies. David and his wife felt increasingly overwhelmed, balancing Susan's needs with their own lives and their children's activities. Susan felt like a burden, even though they never said it. The dynamic created unspoken tension. Old age is a time to cherish independence and self-reliance. Take the initiative to build your own life with personal joys and activities. Maintain friendships, join clubs, or find hobbies to enrich your life. Independence doesn't mean loneliness. It's the freedom to live fully while reducing the burden on your children. Susan's story shows that while living with family can be loving, it's crucial to maintain independence within that arrangement, or to explore options that allow for autonomy. Living in a senior community or having independent living arrangements with regular family visits can offer connection without excessive dependence. True independence isn't isolation. It's having agency in your own life choices. This point can be sensitive, challenging traditional views, but finding ways to maintain independence, even within close family relationships, is vital for our well-being and the health of those relationships. Part 8. Don't be too frugal to the point of suffering. Enjoy what you deserve. Financial planning for retirement should prioritize quality of life and well-being, not just accumulation of wealth. Studies show that older adults who are overly frugal to the detriment of their basic needs and enjoyable activities often experience lower life satisfaction and potentially poorer health outcomes due to stress and lack of engagement. Money saved should serve the purpose of a comfortable and fulfilling retirement. We've worked hard our entire lives. This point is about enjoying the fruits of our labor and not letting excessive saving lead to self-deprivation. It's about realizing we should enjoy what you deserve in our golden years. After a lifetime of hard work and saving, in old age, we deserve to enjoy what we've created. Being overly frugal to the point of hardship, not spending on needs and small joys, is something we shouldn't do. Money is a tool, valuable only when it brings happiness and comfort. Consider the story of Frank. He spent his career working long hours, saving diligently for retirement and to leave something for his children. Even in his 70s, with ample savings, he lived as if money were scarce. He wore worn-out clothes, rarely ate out, postpone necessary home repairs, and wouldn't spend money on hobbies or travel, things he had always dreamed of doing. His children were financially stable and didn't need his money, but Frank couldn't break the habit of extreme frugality. He was saving for a future that was already here, missing out on comfort and experiences in the present. Think of the remaining years as a gift. We don't know how much time we have left. Why live frugally and in want? Spend on meaningful experiences, hobbies, healthcare, and comforts you deserve. Frank's story shows that sometimes, after a lifetime of hard work, we need to be more generous with ourselves, enjoying what we've earned. Don't let saving become a burden preventing you from enjoying life. Spend reasonably on your needs and interests. Health and peace of mind are priceless. Money can be replaced, but time and precious experiences cannot. Living happily and healthily is the most important goal. This can be a tough habit to break, especially if we live through times of scarcity. But allowing ourselves comfort and joy in old age is not selfish. It's essential for our well-being. Part 9. Don't let yourself become outdated, closed off from the world. Learn to integrate. Staying mentally active and socially connected is crucial for cognitive health and well-being in older adults. Engaging with new technologies, learning new things, and maintaining social ties helps to prevent isolation, depression, and cognitive decline. The brain benefits from continuous learning and novelty throughout life. The world keeps changing rapidly. This point is about staying curious and connected, about why we should don't let yourself become outdated, closed off from the world, encouraging us to learn to integrate. Advances in technology and societal changes can make older adults feel lost if they don't keep learning. Closing ourselves off reduces life's excitement and can lead to loneliness and feeling left behind. Consider the story of Margaret. In her late 70s, she was initially hesitant about technology, finding smartphones and computers intimidating. She'd tell her children, "Oh, that's too complicated for me. I'm too old to learn." But her grandchildren patiently showed her the basics. They taught her how to video call them, even across states, read news online, and look up recipes. Slowly, Margaret became more comfortable and even found it interesting. Technology helped her feel more connected to her distant family, provided new entertainment, and kept her informed. The tech-savvy Margaret became more engaged with the modern world. Maintain an open and eager-to-learn spirit. Learn about new technologies, read, watch shows, or take short courses to update knowledge. Maintain social relationships and interact with younger people to avoid isolation. Don't let age be a barrier that closes you off. Be open to new things. Technology and societal changes can bring opportunities and joy. Learning to integrate not only keeps you current but makes life richer and more meaningful. It can feel daunting to keep up with everything new, but taking small steps in learning can open up a whole new world and help us feel more connected and vibrant. Part 10. Don't let yourself become a burden due to unattended health needs. Prioritize your well-being. Proactive health management in older adults, including regular medical checkups, following prescribed treatments, and engaging in healthy lifestyle practices, diet, exercise, is directly correlated with maintaining independence and reducing the likelihood of becoming dependent on family members for care. Ignoring health issues often leads to more significant problems that require extensive support. As we focus on living our golden years fully, one critical area is often overlooked: our health. This point is about actively prioritizing our well-being so we don't inadvertently become a burden. It's about making prioritizing your well-being a central focus. It's easy, as we age, to dismiss new aches and pains as just part of getting older. We might put off doctor's visits, not take medications as prescribed, or neglect exercise because we don't feel up to it. We might not want to bother our children with our health concerns. Consider the story of David. He had high blood pressure but often forgot to take his medication, or decided he felt fine and didn't need it. He also loved comfort food and rarely exercised. His adult children encouraged him to take better care of himself, but he'd wave it off. Eventually, he suffered a stroke. The recovery was difficult and required significant help from his children, who had to take time off work and coordinate his care. David deeply regretted not taking his health more seriously earlier, realizing that trying to avoid being a bother by neglecting his health had ultimately created a much larger burden. Our health is the foundation of our independence and our ability to enjoy life. While we don't want to worry our children, neglecting our health is not the way to avoid being a burden. In fact, it's often the opposite. Taking proactive steps to manage chronic conditions, attending regular checkups, and making healthy choices are acts of self-care that preserve our independence and reduce the likelihood of needing extensive care from our children later on. It's about being responsible for our own well-being as much as possible. This empowers us and allows our children to focus on shared time and enjoyable connections rather than crisis management. Prioritizing your health is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and your family. It's a shift from passively experiencing aging to actively participating in maintaining our health and independence for as long as possible. My dear friend, the journey of old age is a new chapter of life, with its own beauty and experiences. The love for our children will always be an indispensable part of every parent's heart. However, loving wisely, knowing when to set boundaries, letting go of unnecessary expectations, taking care of ourselves, and staying engaged with life are important provisions for us to walk the final path peacefully and happily. We've explored 10 crucial areas where our love and actions, while deeply rooted in care, need careful balance. We've seen that true peace doesn't come from clinging, but from cultivating our own inner tranquility, nurturing genuine relationships, pursuing personal interests, and keeping an open heart to life. We've discussed the importance of respecting adult children's privacy, giving without expecting rigid repayment, protecting our home and memories, taming our worries, sharing our stories as wisdom, not judgment, embracing lightness and laughter, managing anger for inner peace, cultivating independence, allowing ourselves to enjoy life's comforts, staying engaged with the evolving world, and prioritizing our health. Remember, the safest place in old age is not found in clinging to children, but in finding peace and joy within ourselves, from sincere connections, personal interests, and a soul always open to life. This is about empowering you to live your golden years with dignity, joy, and serenity. It's about building a foundation of inner strength and independence that benefits everyone you love. I encourage you to reflect on these 10 points. Which one resonates with you the most right now? What small, actionable step can you take this week to apply one of these principles in your own life? Maybe it's setting a gentle boundary, practicing mindfulness, spending a little on a forgotten hobby, or scheduling that long overdue doctor's appointment. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which point feels most relevant to your life right now? Let's build a supportive community for navigating this beautiful stage of life here on Wisdom of Experience. If this message resonated with you, please give this video a like and subscribe to Wisdom of Experience for more insights on living a peaceful and fulfilling life in your golden years. And share this video with someone you care about who might also benefit from hearing this message. May you always find peace and balance in your life.